Getting back into sports after a long layoff? Want to know how to maximize performance and minimize risk? Watch this.
Our first caller is Ivan from Florida.
Ivan, what's happening? How can we help you?
Hey, man. Wow. As always, you just got to start off. I'm really grateful to be able to be on the show, having the opportunity to listen to you guys just for a few months now. And I've gleaned so much information. Just kind of binging 2 or 3 episodes a day now. And I'm really stuck on you guys. So awesome job. Great job putting out the content.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So here I am. I'm a relatively new trainer here, just about a year of actual practical hands-on experience here. And what I found myself in is trying to understand how to more accurately use our bodies, right? So I've been encouraged to find a new hobby. So here I am. I found adult league baseball. So I'm getting back in the baseball scene, 40 years old. I have felt very comfortable in the gym setting, felt very comfortable with the way that I move my body and can control it. However, when I was approached with getting back into baseball, my mind is just like, fuck yeah, you were going to go do this. However, my body is saying, no, we're not doing this the way that we used to, you know? So getting back on the baseball field, 20 years removed from the last time I was on the field, things are not functioning the same way, you know? So I'm noticing that my body moves. There's different, discrepancies in the way that my body is moving, and that I can feel like some of my muscles may not be firing on all cylinders the way that they should be. And granted, I understand some of that kind of comes with age. But I also feel that I still have the ability to be athletic and to be explosive and still generate a certain amount of force and skill into being an optimal player for my age. And the second part of that idea is being a trainer, I've got a lot of clients who are newly retired and they're getting back in the athletic scene in some degree as well, maybe playing tennis or golf or picking up pickleball. So they may have come from a deconditioned kind of state, you know, maybe being in an office or whatever the background may be. And I'm hearing some of those same kind of aches and pains that you're dealing with. Oh, I can't reach the same. I don't have that same flexibility or that same dexterity and the power that I'm looking for. And there's so many other things that go into that, like being able to accelerate and decelerate and use our body in ways that can be very performance driven on the court, but at the same time, just functional in real life as well. So my question is, how do I, being at my age and also kind of coaching those who are a little bit older, how do we take our bodies and kind of mold that into a functional motions, but also how we can still kind of have a good experience getting back into sports and being physically active?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I want to comment on that real quick. I think a lot of the reasons why people who are 40, who have an athletic background, notice aches and pains is less to do with their age and more to do with the fact that they just lost the skill.
The same patterns anymore.
Yeah, it's all skill, right? It's all skill, and how your body moves is in sports is very skill focused. Will you get slower as you get older eventually? Yeah. Will you not be as explosive? Yeah. But if you lose the skill, forget about it.
Hence Tom Brady, right?
I mean, excellent example. So all right. So real quick, you said, how do I do that? Well, slowly. And you start one step at a time. And that should include practicing the sport at low intensity levels. Like the easiest way to hurt yourself is to go play without building your body up to, or to play hard without building your body up to that capacity, because the risk of injury becomes really high in that scenario. So it's like train your body slowly, multiplanar, and then slowly practice your sport at low and then moderate and then high degrees of intensity over a period of time.
Yeah, I would say, like, to reiterate that, like, mainly on the slow part is to get through those movements, like the movements that you're less familiar with, like, you know, that you've lost a bit of range of motion, especially with any kind of a rotational movement, a shoulder rotational movement. This is something I found was kind of like the best thing I could have done in terms of, like, I decided to sign myself up for a football game later on in life when I'm almost 40 years old, which is a ridiculous idea. And everybody thought I was crazy. But, what I did focus on was not so much about like, I'm going to be so strong and like in shape going into that. It was more like, I need to focus on a lot of these movements that my body's not familiar with leading up to this, so that way it can respond appropriately. And so we were focused a bit more on the mobility side of it and just trying to reconnect with a lot of the lateral movement, a lot of the rotational movement, a lot of stability. So in terms of like a list of priority, I highly suggest, like, if with any ex-athlete, that they just take the time to get your body to go through those ranges of motion, connect with them, add isometric tension to them. So that way too, you're better connected. So that way now you can add some more stress, you can add some more load, and then work your way up sort of that ladder again to get to the explosive, the acceleration, the deceleration, the force generation. All of that takes a base again. So to kind of take it in those steps and be methodical about that would be my suggestion.
Well, this is MAPS Performance.
Yeah.
So Ivan, I'm going to have Doug send MAPS Performance over to you, so you can use that. I think that's a great place.
That's a perfect program.
Yeah, that's a great place to start. And really, what it is it's the stuff that Justin was highlighting, that we, as we get older and we stop playing sports, we really stop moving in the frontal plane. We don't do a lot of stuff in the transverse plane. We don't do a lot of rotational and anti-rotational movements. And that's really where the injuries occur, or why you feel slow or less responsive, is that you've stopped doing movements like that. And then you go on a field or playing baseball, and those movements are required. And then your brain tells you, I know how to do this because I did it for many, many years as a young guy, but you haven't done it in a long time. So the body doesn't seem to catch up, and that's where injury tends to occur. So laying the foundation with like a MAPS Performance type of a program, with Sal's advice of, getting back to playing the sport, but being very mindful that, just because you could do a lot of those things in the past, that you haven't.
You got to play slow.
Yeah, you haven't built the foundation. I mean, this is what keeps. I love basketball. It's one of the. Katrina and I were just talking last night. I miss it so much, and the reason why I just don't get up and just go play ball is because I know that I haven't built a foundation that I should before I get out on the court. Because my brain, it's really tough because I played for so many years. I right away will want to start to do certain moves and play at a certain rate, and I haven't laid the right foundation for that for my age, and because I've neglected it for so long. So performance is the place I would start.
And that's really where performance, that was a big part of our motivation, was to address that. Because there's a lot of people out there that just want to get into recreational sports and like continue, because sports are awesome and they're fun, but it puts a lot of wear and tear and stress on the body. And so, I mean, if I was to kind of stack our programs together for somebody that's like, been out of the game for a bit and wants to kind of really do a good job of addressing a lot of these issues, I would go Prime, I would go Symmetry, then I would go Performance. So, look into that as a potential option, but it would help cover the bases.
Symmetry would be perfect before or after, right? Performance would be great. And then Prime is just going to show you some of those movements that'll help you work on connecting to different ranges of motion. As far as timeline is concerned, because you're fit, because you've been working out, it's not like you're not fit. So we're not dealing with a deconditioned person. And because this was something you did quite a bit, but 20 years ago, and there's going to be some muscle memory there, obviously. It's not like you've never played baseball before. So because you're fit, I could see you're not overweight. You're obviously at a good body weight. You just haven't practiced playing baseball for a long time. You should give yourself about 6 months at least before going to play hard baseball. That would be the safe thing. So I would give myself 6 months of working up to being able to go and play hard baseball. And so, and then here's the other mental challenge. Like Adam talked about this with basketball. You could go play baseball, just play at a low intensity and play slow so you get used to the movements again. Just like Adam could go play a slow game of basketball. But I know Adam, and I know that when he's playing, it's not going to work that way, right? Because he's going to be playing the game. And how the hell do I play this game without playing hard, right? So if you got to really, really have that discipline to be able to do it. And it may mean you go out in the field by yourself and you mock play and you play slow and you do this 2 days a week and then 3 days a week and then 4 days, and you play a little harder, and then you go play with like a bunch of men who are like, way older than you. So you're playing at their speed, and then eventually go down to like, recreational players and then competitive players at your age. But I'd give yourself about 6 months just to keep it safe.
Gotcha. And I hear what you're saying. I really appreciate the feedback there. The league that I am in is 25 and older. Being 40 years old, I'm one of the younger ones on the field. So I feel like I do have that advantage. But I'm also looking at these older players, and they're coming off limping, or Monday they're calling off of work because they're just like out of the game altogether, So I'm trying to avoid that. And I've listened to you guys long enough to hear you say, like, just focus on mobility, focus on joint health. And those are certainly key things that I really want to ensure that I'm touching on and being very conscious of, because also I need to take care of my own body, because I'm going out and training and teaching classes and doing one-on-one sessions. Yeah. So for me to have a functional and still, athletic body and purposeful, then I need to, just be mindful of those joints.
One last thing, Ivan, before we let you go, I want to make sure that you understand. Yes, mobility is important. Yes, joint integrity is important. But what's equally as important is relearning how to apply the skill of what you're trying to do. Because you can have general mobility, but then you can go try playing a sport and you're not familiar with a particular movement or skill, and still place yourself at a unreasonably high rate of injury, for example, or risk of injury, I should say. So it's not just mobility and joint integrity. It's mobility, joint integrity, stability, and I got to relearn the skill. There's a way that you move. You know this as an athlete or as an ex-athlete. You know that there's a way that you move that, you can have strong muscles and you can do all whatever, be flexible. But if you don't know how to move that way, or you have to relearn it, like that takes time. So it's all of that stuff. Thanks for calling in, Ivan. By the way, I want to make a comment. He said, "Oh yeah, it's guys that are older than me or my age." I've seen guys in their 40s and 50s who have continued to play and did a really good job, and they're
that's why they never stop.
That's why I brought up Tom Brady.
Right.
I mean, what is he, 45 now? 45, 46?
And he's the best.
And he's the best in his position.
Well,
so
yeah, I wanted to actually through this, because Andrew went through this process of going back into baseball, and like, does he have a mic? Because I wanted to ask you a bit about like what were your first steps in terms of like getting back in and competing at that level again.
How come his mic's not plugged in?
Well, it's Q&A. He's usually
I put you on the spot.
Yeah, no worries.
He's usually not club.
He's a good person to ask though. So
yeah, I have quite a bit to add to this. Doug, I'm sorry. Do you mind if I take a seat?
Producer to producer.
That was a flex move. Right there.
Wow.
Let's go and take a hike for a little bit.
Doug's gonna fight you afterwards. You gotta be careful.
Go ahead and ask your question again, Justin.
Oh no! I was going to ask you, Andrew, because you went through this entire process that he was describing about getting back into baseball and competing at like a high level in terms of a rec league. So you did the same thing. So what did you consider first?
Yeah. So I mean, for so the audience knows, I'm only 26 years old, and going out there, I imagine this guy excited to play. The skill is still there, but your body's just not used to it like it once was. I mean, think about when you're in high school. You're training every day of the week, and now where I'm at, not training at all and pretty much just going out there on Sundays, what I realized was I was going to get hurt very quickly. And so what I had to do was basically build up the intensity, like you guys talked about, the skill of it, and break it down on the for each exercise. So like running the bases, throwing, like just going out there and throwing at a net and just kind of building up how much I was throwing or how much I was running. Mm-hmm. And that really made the difference for me.
So you broke up the skills.
I broke up the skills.
Yeah,
so like based on the position. So I'm a pitcher, I play the outfield, I run the bases. And when I went out there and I didn't do that, and I tore my hamstring and my shoulder was throbbing like the next day, on Monday.
Dude.
And so it took me like 4 weeks to get back into it. So I broke it down and just kind of build everything back up little by little. One day I was just throwing, 20 pitches, and the next day I was just picking up the intensity. And
perfect.
You know what's wild is someone like you who actually has an extensive background in baseball is at a higher risk than me getting a person who's never played before and then wants to go play.
Yeah, because of the muscle memory and
because you know the type of velocity that you can put on a ball, or how quick you could turn the bases, or how you can turn the bat over to swing. your brain will try and do that still. Where someone who's like, it's all foreign, it's like, their body's only going to kind of do what their
They
body.
got to work their way up to that
That's
kind
right.
of force.
They got to work their way up to that, and so they're less likely to get hurt, which is not. It's kind of counterintuitive.
It's counterintuitive.
Because you think like, oh, I've been an athlete my whole life. Like I'm gonna get out there and I'm gonna play right away. When actually you're at higher risk because of your background and what you know that your body's capable of doing, versus the total green 26-year-old who goes, hey, I want to try baseball. Never played in my life. Like he's less at risk than
Well, to
you
add
are.
add to that, because someone might be listening, like, huh, how does that make sense? When you have a particular skill that you've learned in a sport, it typically involves a type of movement and mobility that's specific to that skill. Like you know how to get down real low, you know how to angle your foot, drive a particular way, and this is all intuitive. Well, all of that requires the capabilities to manage that skill. Now, the average person who's never done that sport, when they're turning the bases, they just turn their body, not knowing that there's a way you can do it and angle your body. So they just do it in a way where they intuitively aren't going to hurt themselves. So this is why it becomes a problem, because you get someone like Andrew, you know how to twist and turn, you know how far back to whip your arm. Whereas if I throw a baseball, it's going to be very stiff and whatever, because that's what I do. If I had your skill, I'd be like, no, I got to bring it way back here, whip it over this way. Boom, tore my shoulder.
You kill those carnival games though.
I beat
good.
you guys all the time.
Yeah, every time.
One last thing to add to exactly what you're talking about is it's all the antagonist muscles that kind of have to get restabilized. So like even if I was throwing with my right shoulder, my left back was the side that was hurting a lot, and it's because it wasn't used to taking that load. It wasn't used to decelerating. It wasn't used to a lot of that extra work.
Cool. And the audience needs to know that Andrew he does our YouTube, and he knows more fitness than your trainer does. So
Yeah.
that's the staff that we
Step
have
your
here.
game up.
That's what we got here.
Yeah.